Today, when we talk about cash flow management, I'm working on the basis you actually do cash flows. So it's not just a case of you look at the bank balance and go, holy, we've got no money. Is that you're actually sitting down and you're planning out where you're going to be for the next 12, 18, 24 months. So there's a plan, okay? It could be a cunning plan, but a plan nonetheless. But just in case, I will actually spend the first few minutes, I'm going to modify this one a little bit. First few minutes, we're going to roll through some basics in creating cash flows and go from there. All right, so I'll be back in a few minutes at 11 o'clock and we can get this thing happening. See you soon. Okay, we're back. We are back. How's that? That's better? Good hours. All right, welcome. Another fun-filled webinar. We're going to talk about cash flow management. But as I said before, to start with, okay, well, where are we? Here we go. There we go. There's the plan. That's what we're going to go through today. Bit of an intro, and in that, we're going to talk about building cash flows in a very down sort of way. Not a lot of detail in that, but to give you an idea of where to start if you're not already doing it. Then we'll go through the drivers. What are the 7 things in your business that really drive or constrain your cash flow? Have a chat about your business. We'll review it all, and you can give you some feedback. Now, when you come to building your cash flow, if you don't do one, could I suggest respectfully that you do one yesterday? Like, get onto it and plan out where you're going for the next 12 months. Right? And when you're building it, I've seen these cash flows come from accounts. So I've been in finance now for a number of years. And you'll get some, particularly from a client or from an accountant, they just divided everything by 12 and put it across 12 months and gone, happy days. That's what a year's going to be like. Now, we all know, you know, I know, we all know that's not the case. That your expenses come and go, that you don't necessarily pay your insurance monthly, although you can, that you don't necessarily buy in the same volumes every month, that your wages bill fluctuate, because sometimes you have people on holidays, sometimes you have people who simply resign, so your bill goes down, there's super payments quarterly, there's BAS quarterly. or monthly, depending on your business, or annually. There's that seasonality, there's variations. So have a good hard look at where you're at. Have a look at last year's profit and loss. Pull it up, and then think about whenever all those things get paid. Or go into the individual accounts in your accounting system and look at when you pay them. Right? And then build out a cash flow so you get an idea of where your biggest funding needs are and where you've got some surpluses that you can use in the business to do more stuff. Right? And that's what today's all about. It's about creating cash surplus so you can do more stuff, which then gives you the power and control to make more money, to do more stuff. Okay, so having said that, let's get on with the drivers that help you do stuff. Okay, very simple. In case you're wondering, no, we're not reinventing the rocket today. These are all financial fundamentals. They don't change. They are what they are. We're just going to run through so you have a good grasp, really make them up, how to measure them over time, and a couple of things you can do to tidy up and make them perform better for you. So your key drivers, your accounts receivable, your accounts payable, your stock, your pricing, okay, or your margins rate, your sales volume, okay, those two are not necessarily connected. You can play with one without affecting the other. Your cost of goods sold and your overheads. Now, again, simple, obvious stuff, but there are times in business where you are so deep in the trees, you can't really see the forest, and you really need to take that one step back, take a step up, and just have a look over everything and say, okay, well, hang on, where are we at? What are we doing? Where are the roadblocks? Where are we doing really well? Can we duplicate that somewhere else in the business? Like, what's working? My goodness. Okay, let's do that again. You need to do that from time to time, right? Don't get stuck in on the tools every day, okay? It really is a bad strategy, right? Counterproductive. So, accounts receivable. Now, these slides are kind of wordy because they've got some explanations and some formulas in them. And that's a much better. Okay. So the way we measure that is by the number of days that it takes you to actually collect your bills, right? So you simply have your average receivable days divided by your annual sales, multiply it by 365, and that will give you your accounts receivable days for the year. Now, I would suggest that this is a ratio you might want to work out on a quarterly basis. Certainly do it over a time frame because 1 year's number is just a number. It doesn't necessarily mean anything, all right? But if you've got that number over a quarter, 4 quarters of the year, then you can start looking at a trend. If you've got it over 3 years data, and that's really what I'm driving at, is you want 3 years data, you want to have a look at how you performed historically. And you can see, because that will take into account seasonality, that will take into account new product lines, changes in customer base, okay? All those things will flow through, maybe changes in your lines of funding, right? So work it out over time and get a feel for the trend, all right? Now, the reason that you want to do that is because the longer it takes you to get the money in, the more it costs you, right? If you're running any sort of cash flow funding, whether it's an overdraft, debt of finance, invoice funding, some sort of import facility, it doesn't matter. Any sort of cash flow funding, and the more days the money is out, the more it costs you. Okay, you get money in quicker, it costs you less. You then got more money to do more stuff, to make more money to do more stuff. All right, so I'm getting that. Now, the other side of it, the other way to bring it all back in is to use basic account receivable management techniques, like just a simple policy, right? And really, it's terms of trade. You think about it. Do you actually have written terms of trade for your clients, or do you simply stick 30 days net on the bottom of the statement and leave it at that? You know, it's very clear to them that if they don't pay in 30 days, you're going to start taking recovery action and charge interest. Right? And that is something that generally you can do. Talk to your solicitor and your accountant about that. But if you can whack that on there as an incentive without damaging your client base, consider it, okay? Because it's your money they've got, okay? That's the thing I'm driving at, is that your good customers are the ones who pay you on time. Now, I had clients who've done this in the past, like they think their best customers are the ones who make the biggest orders. Yeah, that can be the case a lot of the time. But I know one client in particular, their biggest customer was their worst customer, and you couldn't convince them until you actually sat down around the numbers. Now, the thing is that business was a relatively low margin business, so they wanted volume. And this customer bought significantly, and they paid 90 days plus. We sat down and worked the margins, and effectively, because of the interest rate on the client's funding, they were making no money. Like they were literally making no money. So we got rid of the customer. It's like you either pay in 30 days or you go COD. It's one or the other. All right. And they left. They went somewhere else. They cost somebody else money, wasting their time. Now, that wasn't an easy decision to make. But the thing is that at the end of the day, the profit margins didn't change. Like the net profit margin didn't change. They made just as much money on a lower sales base. How ridiculous is that? Now, this is what I'm driving at, is the last point, is that you are not a bank. So stop acting like one, okay? Don't fund their business, right? There's nothing wrong with giving credit. It's a standard way of doing business, okay? Because you want credit yourself, like you want to pay in 30 days. 30 days is 30 days, all right? So stick to that as best you can. Now, we talked about that. Now, this will pop up consistently, and the reason being is that this is actually a 2-hour workshop, very interactive, working with people's financials and working with some financials that I've got at the end of these slides. Now, I've simply squished it into 1 hour. So this sort of stuff's going to pop up. Don't worry about it. There are some numbers at the back if you want to have a play around. There are 3 years financials there, and you can see the trends and you can work through the numbers. Now, payable, the other side of the coin. Okay, this is the people that you owe money to. Now, if you're going to measure this efficiently, all right, it's the same theory as accounts receivable. It's average accounts payable divided by your purchases, multiplied by the time frame in question, and there you go. And again, get a trend on that. Okay, 4 quarters, 3 years, my favourite, 3 years. Have a look at how you've been paying people over time. Now, you will know, again, it's instinct, you will know what your payment patterns are like. And you will generally know where your suppliers are in relation to those payment patterns, what their attitude is, which is fine. But it doesn't hurt to go through the exercise and start looking at maybe you're paying too early to some people. Maybe, as I said, see, maybe you're just doing, and that's inefficiency. You're paying too early, it's costing you money because the money's going out of your account. There's a cost on that. You could be doing other things with it. Yeah. If you're doing that, if you're paying too early, you're actually, as I was saying, you're reducing your cash reserves. You really want the cash in your account. Okay, you want to be able to fund growth, expand your business, new staff, new premises, new equipment, new stock lines. Don't pay sooner than you have to. It's as simple as that. Okay. Now, and the other problem with that is that if you're paying too early, if you pay later, right? There's the thing to watch with this, okay? And this is the attitude you'll have obviously with the people who are doing business with you. So if you pay later, you can run into constraints with certain lines of supply. Okay. If you pay too quickly, pay too slowly, then stop turning up. We get put on COD. Like we've done that from our side for other clients. It's like, guys, this person's costing you money. Put them on COD, right? Until they get their account back in order, they can go back on 30 days then. All right, but they're paying everything they order from now on. It's cash, and then away you go. And you don't want to be in that position. So analyse it, have a look at where your money's at, and just make sure that you're not getting the money out the door too quickly. Right. Now, stock work in progress. This is a big one, and this is a sneaky one. Okay, particularly with work in progress, and particularly with service companies. Right. This is the one that can cost you without you even really noticing it. It's all about, again, efficient management of the asset, right? Your stock and your work in progress, right? Now, the ratio is there to work out what your stock days are. Again, do it over a time frame, whether you do it monthly, quarterly, 3 years. Hello. Have a look at the trend. It's always the trend that matters. Okay, on its own, your stock turn days for a year, who cares? Okay, it doesn't actually mean anything until you get a pattern for it. Okay, and you get that trend, you can say, okay, what's really going on in the business here? All right. Now, trend is down, so you're turning the stock over quicker. Okay, now that's generally a good thing. That means that your stock levels are under control in relation to your sales. Okay. However, it could also mean that you're simply running stock down and you're in danger of not being able to supply when a decent stock comes in. Okay. So be aware of that, which again, you've got that gut instinct, you know your business. All right. So what we're looking for here is data to back it up. So when you're making the decision, you've got the numbers to support you. It's not just, you reckon that's what's going on, because the numbers say so. So, and the other side, the other thing on that is demand fluctuations. You want to be able to cover those off, all right? It's just, that's the whole point of having stock, is to have stuff on hand to deal with orders. Now, if you're a product-based business, then it's all about, are you building up stock just to check on that and try and catch up on the shelves? And are you, and here's the risk, are you actually building up obsolete stock? Now, way back in the day, when I finished high school, and for those of you who are wondering, no, we weren't using abacus. It was a little bit after that. They had brought in a slate and a chalk. When I had a job before I went to uni, and part of the business was spare parts, and we had a part in a mezzanine level over the workshop that we called the mortuary, because that's where all the dead stock was. And in the mortuary was stuff for vehicles that were no longer made, that parts that were no longer made, even though the vehicle was still on the road. Parts were very hard to find, so we had one of them just in case. And we would have had, back in the days, something like 10 grand on that shelf, which back then was a ton of cash. They got a lot of working capital tied up, sitting on a shelf. On the upside, when we sold stuff, we sold it at current price. That was 10 grand historical price. That's what it actually cost us to put it there. But on the valuation, that stock would have cost us, for the part we no longer get, would have cost us something in the order of $40,000 or $50,000. So you understand that when we're selling that stuff, we're selling it at current retail or current wholesale, depending on who's buying from us. The margin for all of them, it wasn't as if we're getting awesome margins every day of the week. Okay? We're getting, occasionally we'd sell something out of the mortuary, happy days, because that was big money. Right? A lot of profit in that position there, trying to claw that 10 grand back into the business. All right, so just be aware of that fact. Now, if you're manufacturing, okay, work in progress. All right, now this formula will work for that just as well. Okay, just be aware that you want to crank all those production hours into that. Make sure that your production wages are in your cost of goods sold. I have seen some businesses where they don't do that. I have no idea why they think that's a good accounting practice. No idea at all. I think it's just lazy, quite frankly. And I've told them that. It's just rubbish. You don't know what your margins are. You really don't know what's going on when you do that crap. If you can streamline this, it's the same thing. You've got money tied up on the shop floor. Okay, you've got people building things, you've got people manufacturing stuff. You've got raw material hitting the deck, and then you've got the finished goods going out at the end. That process in the middle there, that's where the money's tied up. You want to squeeze that as best as you can. Okay, so use this ratio to measure how well you're managing that process. And service-based business, the same thing. Okay, instead of raw materials, you get a punter walks in the door and says, "I need your help. I'll sign an engagement agreement." Words to that effect, and away you go. Quite start thinking. Now, even if you're getting progress payments on jobs, you've still got money tied up in those consulting fees, right, in those jobs. So it's exactly the same impact. If you've got people, when you still got to pay wages, you've got to pay for the office, you've got all the outgoings that sit alongside of that. Now, that costs you. Right? It's not free. So the tighter you can make that cycle, the better it is for your cash flow. Right? So run the ratios out, have a look at what's going on, and if it looks like it's blowing out, or if it's at a level that you're simply not comfortable with, dive into it. Where's the hold up? Now, again, have a play with it. But pricing. Now, price change percent, we're talking about your gross margins here. Okay, how much can you tweak your gross margin to increase cash flow without belting your sales? Because you've got to cover off things like unexpected cost increases. Okay, if you can build a little bit extra and then a little more cash flow into the business, then things like that don't hurt so much. Okay. Now, the other thing is you've got to know how much room you've got to move either way. Okay, you want to increase your margin without damaging your sales, because that's just money in the bank. Happy days, they go straight to the bottom line. Beautiful. To try to get more sales, because at the end of the day, we're looking at a very similar outcome, aren't we? So here's the theory. Okay. We're dropping your margins. Okay, that's going to if you chase the market down. Okay, if you commoditize yourself, you got a problem. Okay, now bundling, that's not such a bad thing because you still got some cash flows where you're actually getting an extra sale at a lower margin rather than dropping the margin across the board. That's fine. Your Mathers, they are a king of that. Or Williams to Schumann, I think they made the brand, Colorado, all those guys. It's the one country. The Mathers, Shoe Python, they all the little guys up. They're the king of that. Okay, second pair half price. Right? It's all about cash flow. Okay. The other way you can deal with it is just little increases by CPI. Now, CPI is not much at the moment. It's sitting on about 1%. You sneak that in there, okay, just quarterly, okay, 0.9% a quarter, 0.5% a quarter, just a little CPI increase. And that's money for you, especially if you can keep your market. You look at McDonald's are the king of this, the absolute king, because they just credit their prices by 15 or 40 cents. It is always 15 or 40 cents. Nobody notices. It's insane. Oh, hang on. The franchisee, they notice because that goes straight to their bottom line. Think about it. Customers just want their fries and Coke and burger and rubbish. Okay. They don't really notice the price that much. And all their competitors do the same thing. They just sneak them just a little bit. Not on everything. One here, one there, random. It's all money in the bank. Okay, so look at your pricing policy and think about how you can adopt that sort of approach. Yeah. Here's the practice. Okay. What do you think about it? You're trying to boost your sales volume, all right? Because if you sell more, you got more money, haven't you? Really? When you sell more, okay, there's a cash outlay to make the sale. Okay, we all know that. It's not like you can just magically have everything appear to make the sale happen at no cost. And if you're running on terms, often you've got to pay for all that stuff before you get paid for the sale. Now, the risk here is over trading. Okay, technical term, sorry about that, bit of jargon, which I hate, but that's exactly what it is you're actually trading beyond your cash flow, beyond what your cash flow can support. And I've seen 2 clients go bankrupt because of this. They simply took on jobs that were way too big. They had payment delays for those jobs, took them down. But they had to pay for all the stuff going out the door. Didn't get the money in on time. In fact, one of them was for a local council. It's low payers. And that was the end of their bankrupt. So this is one of the big reasons I said at the start, make a cash flow out. Have it done, and then when you start chasing those increases in sales, map in the impact. And be honest about your payment dates. Like you work the ratios out now, you know when people are going to pay you, you know what the flow is going to look like. When the money's actually going to come in from those sales, map it out. Have a look at what the impact really is. Okay? So before you go launching the big marketing campaign and chasing the $1 billion turnover, you've got an idea of what impact that's going to have on the business and if you can really fund it. Okay. So this is why. You've got a service-based business, you've still got people who've got to work like this, hours. Can you fund it? You need to put on more people. That's cool. Right, you're growing. It's like more employment, good for the economy, great for the community. Happy days. Make sure you can fund it. Right? And if you haven't got the ability within your existing cash flow to fund the growth, then do the sensible thing. Go to your bank and say, listen, guys, this is the cash flow. This is what we're doing. This is why we need the money, and get some funding. Right? There's a ton of people. In fact, I wouldn't even go to your bank. I'd go to a commercial finance broker. I'd go to 3 of them and get an opinion, and then pick the one that seems to make the most sense. Because they will know all the options that are in the market, and they will know what the smartest option is, what the best is for you, because your bank is not necessarily that at all. Okay. You do not want a cash flow crisis because you suddenly were too good at your job and your sales went berserk. Okay, that is a nightmare that nobody wants. All right. Now, cost of goods sold. Okay, we're just going to go through the 2 cost components now. Now, cost of goods sold is naturally those costs that are directly associated with getting the sale out the door. Okay, whether it's your manufacturing, your service side of it. Right, it's your directly variable costs, because as a P&L item, it should change in line with sales. Okay, it's not like it's $1,000 every month. It should vary. Now, the way to benefit from this, and this is going to rely on your margin, is that if you can control that, if you can reduce your cost of goods sold, then obviously your margins increase, which means you've got more cash at the end of the day, which means you've got more money to do more things, to make more money to do more things, so you can do more things, which is the whole point of the game. Okay. Now, ways of reducing cost of goods sold: buy in bulk. Okay, get discounts. Look at getting discounts for early payment. Run the numbers on those and see what they're worth, because now, with the cost of funds being so low, they're not a bad thing to grab hold of. It's often better to dip into the overdraft, buy some material up front and get a discount off that, because the cost of doing that through the overdraft is less than the discount you get off the materials. And that is money in the bank at the end of the day, which is the whole point of today's chat. Okay? Reduce waste. The king of waste reduction, McDonald's. Now, I had a manager in my business once, one of the ones I had a couple of years ago, and she was actually ex-Maccas, young lady, early 20s, had worked at McDonald's for about 6 years, been not a store manager, assistant store manager, which is not bad for a teenager. Smart, driven woman, lovely to work with, but to that cost control, holy snapping hurdles. She was on it like a rat onto a spare chip, I tell you. She nailed down our costs like you wouldn't believe, because that's been drilled into her by McDonald's. It's cost control, cost control, cost control. All right, no waste, right? No waste at all. And so that was a good exercise to go through. It was actually one of the reasons I hired her, because she had that management background of don't waste anything, real efficiencies. It was a beautiful thing to watch. Okay. Now, if you're service-based, it's the same thing around work practices, all right, and job management. Right? Every hour they waste, that's your money. All right. So have a look at the actual hours you're selling as to how many you're paying for. Right? And I'm sure if you're a service-based business, you kind of do that now. You probably do that. Make it a habit. Put in place a system to do that. And then when you start seeing differences, tighten up, because it's your money. Okay? It's money in the bank. Now, again, got some financials to play with in the back, so we'll skip through that. Now, overheads is everything else. Right? All your indirect expenses, and they generally tend to be fairly fixed in nature, generally. Now, there's a ratio for working it out. Again, work it out over time, and just see that should decrease over time if your revenue is growing. If it doesn't, or if the decrease is not proportional, or if you've got great revenue growth, which obviously will incur some more fixed cost. Okay, you might need more staff, you might need bigger premises, more equipment, like phones and stuff. If that increase is not proportional, you need to have a good hard look at where the money's going. Okay, because it's your cash flow. Right? At the end of the day, it's your cash flow. Now, sorry about that. This is where, among other things, accounts receivable data. We spoke about it right at the beginning. Okay, reduce your interest costs, frees up cash, take advantage of discounts and offers. Right, this is where you can, that money coming in can be used for good. Right. Also, in terms of, come back right now, in terms of these things, you got your insurances, you've got your power, and if you're not a manufacturing business, that's not a direct cost. You've got your phones. Right? Those three items are highly negotiable. If you do not have a commercial insurance broker, with respect, you're kidding yourself. Okay? That's one. Right? Because they will money, and I'm sure that you've got to need. Right? You get quotes from a couple of them, and when the policies look different, ask the questions. Power, super competitive market, shop around. Phones, hello, super competitive market, shop around, get bundling discounts. Right? Your vehicle costs, in fact, your financing costs. Get a commercial finance broker. Right? Now would be good. Right? Have a chat about your financial structures and about what's coming up in the way of purchases and about the stuff rolling off lease. Do you get the gear? Do you get new gear? Run the numbers. Right? Now is the best time to do it. Right? All these things take a little bit of time. Now, let's think about your business for a moment. I'll spend a couple of minutes chatting about this. Your current results. If you're just starting in business, okay, and this webinar is as much for you as for anybody else, okay? It might not seem like that at the start, but that's really how it pans out. You need to put in place systems from the start that will monitor these elements of your business. All right, you need to be all over it. If you've been in business for a while and you're not monitoring these drivers, then you need to put in place systems that will monitor it, so we can have an idea in the future how you're going and where you've been. All right, and we can start highlighting trouble spots, because there's all businesses I work with, all businesses I consult with, they all know on a gut instinct basis where the issues are, kind of. They're not always certain, but they've got an idea where the problem is. What we do is we go in and have a chat, and then we pull the financials. It's basically, give me your financials for the last 3 years, give me your current accounting system, punch it out, stick everything right now, and then leave me alone for an hour. And I'll sit down and work some numbers out, and we'll come back and we'll say, okay, here's where I think the problems are. What does your instinct tell you? What coming off the shop floor? And that's why we want to have a system. And then it's the trend, it's the trend, it's the trend. Okay, check the trend. Where are things going? Okay, how are you going to improve those results? Okay, you've got your drivers. Now, here we go. There's 7. Okay. How are you going to improve your results in those categories? You articulated to all of your clients, and I'm holding you numbers with a whole package of sit down and work and work. Hey, we're back. Okay, hang on. Let's just go back to here. Okay, I'll bring back the screen. There we go. We're back. I don't know what happened there with Zoom. It certainly wasn't a connection at my end. We're all good as gold. Okay, weird. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's go through accounts receivable. Oops, hang on. Let's get me out of the way for a second. There we go. Like I was saying, have a look at your clients, the ones who are paying you 60, 90, 120 days. All right, run the numbers on them. Are they worth it? Like, seriously, guys, are they worth it? All right, run the numbers. How profitable are they really? If they are, fine. See if you can tighten up on the collections. All right, just bring them back a little bit, because that's your money that they've got. All right, you're not a bank, remember? No bank, no bank. Accounts payable. Just check. Are you paying too early? Like, really, you should know whether you are or not. Okay, you can have a good feel for that. But run the numbers and just see if there's a pattern to you paying a bit earlier. And a bit of sneak here, but you maybe squeeze it out a little bit. Okay, have a look. Is there somebody there like, I'm paying them 30 days, and personally, we pay our bills on the due date because we can. It's not a cash flow issue for us, and that's just what we do. All right, we've pretty much always done that. I haven't spun anybody out for a long time. Way back. But I've worked with businesses, both in the business and as a consultant to the business, where cash flow constraints have been such that we don't pay on the due date because we can't, and we simply explain that to the people, and away we go. That's cool. Let's then have a chat and see what you can do, because it's your money that you're trying to manage. Right? Stock, work in progress, the big crap. Okay, make sure that you don't have too much money tied up there. Okay, look for efficiencies. Again, waste is a big one. Okay, that also comes back into cost of goods sold. Just keep the thumb on it, all right, because that's where you can get really, that's money tied up. That's the big trap in business. Okay. Pricing. Can you play with your margins? So can you sneak your prices up a little bit? And on the other side of it, if you drop your margin a little bit, okay, just drop your prices a little bit. Don't chase the market down, but just down a little bit. Can you build the volume up so that you're actually improving your cash flow? Right, will it have that impact? Do the numbers. Have a look at what the market's doing. Ask your clients, okay? If they are buying off your competitors, ask why. Is it a service issue? Is it a product issue? Or is it a price issue? Okay, where's the drama? Why are they doing that? Sales volume. Second big trap, okay? Nothing wrong with building your sales volume, just make sure your cash flow can support it, okay? Which is why right on the back we said do a cash flow. All right, map out the impact of chasing more sales, because sales cost money. You've got to fund it. You've got to fund it. You know that. Right? Cost of goods sold. Can you get discounts in bulk buy? Can you keep a handle on your wage costs? Or if you're a manufacturer, you also get power cost, and you get a better deal there. Can you get more efficient machinery? We've got a good mate of mine who I do a lot of work with. Basically put some new machines in, and they do the job of 3 men now. And they are literally set to forget, like literally put the steel in, shut the workshop down, let that one turned on, come back in the morning, and you've got an absolute 8 hours worth of parts made out of bar. Magic. Now, he didn't actually sack 3 people though. Well, he's got 3 people he can employ elsewhere to make more stuff, make more money. Right, machines brilliant. Love it. Okay, cost of goods sold. How can you make efficiencies in that area? Okay, and your general overheads. Of course, look at your expenses. And now I know we all do that. I get that. But seriously, do you seriously really try and have your expenses down? Use brokers, insurance brokers, finance brokers. Go to different power companies, get quotes, chase it, right? And if you're not going to do it, get one of your staff to do it. You haven't got the time, okay? But make the effort, because the money that you cut out there, okay, if you can get the same, sorry, is that an air decided to run on me? If you can have the same service, the same bit of gear in your business at a lower cost, money straight to the bottom line. Okay, that's your money back in the business to do more things, so you've got more money to do more things, so we can do more things, which is the whole point of the exercise. So I'll leave you with those thoughts. All right. Oops. All right. There we go. There's my contact details. Business Station have put this on. RDA Australia, thank you very much for supporting us here in Queensland. Now, if you've got questions, if you want to handle anything, shoot me a note. Okay, don't be shy. All emails answered, guarantee you. Okay, give me a call, and we'll run through your business and have a look at what you're doing and where we can make things better for you. Because at the end of the day, the point of the exercise is to build a sustainable business that is strong, employing people, making money, happy days, strong communities. That's what we're all about. That's the whole point of this. Okay, so run through it again. Have a look at everything in the business. Give me a call. We'll go through it and put in place some systems so you can monitor it and some strategies for making it better than it currently is. Okay, thank you for your attention. We'll have to actually come back tomorrow. Right? Tomorrow, we're going to go through the mindset, the business mindset, some planning things. We'll talk on cash flow a bit as well. I think we're going to put a ton of time into doing cash flows and just go through the stages from when your first bright, shiny idea through the actual successful exit, when you basically buy out and you go do something else. Right? You didn't buy out, you sell out, and go do something else on your next stage. I'll go through that whole process. Heap of fun, a lot of strategy. Talk then. Cheers, guys.